We will be talking about the NHL's opening week. On Left Bench Sports.
Cave on, did Alex. No, the Dolphins are not frauds.
All right, we gotta restart
again.
Bad this defense has been. I do not trust them against the Dolphins at all.
Milwaukee Bucks joining the finals this year.
Got a whopping 52 fantasy points in Miami's route of Broncos country.
My 80-year-old grandmother could have broken more tackles and probably made more plays than Mahomes if they gave her a helmet and some football pads.
Welcome back to Left Bench Sports.
We'll be talking about the Giants' defeat of the Commanders, the Jets' loss to the Bills, college football, and fantasy football.
The Giants won just their third game in their second matchup against the Commanders. They also won the first matchup in MetLife in October, and the final score was 31-19.
I mean, overall, it was a solid game between the two teams. I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like no matter how bad this Giants team is, that they're going to never lose to Washington. So,
I mean, who is going to lose to Washington? That's the question.
I mean, they're definitely better than the Giants this year, but they just own the Commanders. Commanders never had the Giants number.
I mean, yeah, when you walk onto a field with too much on you, it can hit you back sometimes too, depending on who you're playing.
Well, let's get into the stats of the game. Tommy DeVito had the best game of a Giants quarterback this entire season with 246 passing yards and 3 touchdowns.
And with all of that, without turning over the ball once. Not even an interception.
I mean, for a guy that's an undrafted quarterback, a third string, he not turning over the ball for the entire game is pretty good for him.
I mean, especially considering how bad the offensive line for the Giants has been this entire year.
Yeah, 9 sacks. And the fact it was the first time in Giants history that they won a game where they were sacked 8 or more times.
I mean, this season, every defense that's played against the Giants have pretty much sacked them literally over 5 or 6 times every time they've played.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to win like that, but they somehow did. 2 of those touchdowns that Tommy DeVito threw were to Saquon Barkley. One was to Darius Slayton. And Saquon Barkley also rushed for 83 yards, with most of them being in the fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley is, still showing that he's an elite running back, even though this team is awful.
I mean, even though the O-line can't block at all for either the QBs or the guys in the back, he still is one of the best, running backs around.
Yeah. And
he's still showing that he can even produce on his own, even within the O-line that can't block from that, he needs.
Yeah. And the Giants also had another huge touchdown. This was a pick 6 to close out the game from Isaiah Simmons. And they also had 2 more picks from Darnay Holmes and Nick McLeod.
I mean, these picks from this game were actually really fun to watch. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
How about you?
And the pick to Isaiah Simmons was just kind of ridiculous. Sam Howell tried to throw the ball away, and he just got nowhere near where he was trying to. He was trying to throw it out into the stands, but he just threw the worst pass I've ever seen right at Isaiah Simmons for the pick 6.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons said thank you and took it to the home.
Yeah. Looks like the Commanders are going to have to move on from Sam Howell. He's been extremely inaccurate, very undisciplined with the football. So,
I mean, yeah, he just has no self-discipline with the ball. He kind of just throws it away and, treats it as if it has no value. I mean, most coaches say the ball has, it's made of gold. You have to treat it with, your heart and soul.
Yeah, I also, and the Commanders, they're not in a position where they're the worst team in the NFL. They're just kind of, they're kind of mid. They're just...
Yeah, they're not a horrible team, but they're just making a lot of really stupid mistakes. And, any sort of stupid mistake you make can throw the game entirely. I mean, we saw that with the Bills and the other week.
They need to make some upgrades in the offseason with definitely their secondary on defense and then maybe trade for a quarterback.
I mean, yeah, they definitely need a new QB. He's just been so inconsistent and inaccurate and undisciplined.
And Bobby Okereke, he was really good. 2 forced fumbles for the defense. He's definitely proving himself as the Giants' #1 linebacker and also the captain and leader of the defense.
I mean, the defense also did really good this game against the Commanders.
It was 4 sacks for the Giants.
4 sacks, 6 turnovers, and a lot of great plays that were done by the D against the Washington's offense.
Yeah. Also, on the Commander side of the field, their defense, their D-line, at least not their defense, but their D-line was elite as per usual. With everyone on that defensive line contributing to their 9 sacks, like we mentioned earlier, though David Mayo was definitely their best pass rusher, leading the charge with 2 sacks.
I mean, yeah, the Commanders' D-line is pretty much elite. It's just their offense is lacking.
Yeah, and also definitely need help in the secondary on defense.
Oh,
Once you get past that D-line, there's not a lot of help.
100%. I agree with you on that.
Obviously, though, the Giants' O-line is not too hard to get 9 sacks off of. Obviously, as we've seen, with basically everyone on that O-line being injured, it's all subs.
Yeah, they're missing so many guys. They have rookies in on the O-line and plenty of guys that don't have nearly the same amount of experience as the guys that were there originally at that time. And when it comes to this, you have guys that are backups. Like, you've Tommy DeVito in now as your third-string quarterback. They had the Bills' old QB before that, and then they had, Danny Dimes, but Danny Dimes is injured. Bills QB's out. And now it's up to Tommy DeVito and all these other, rookie guys to step in and take their jobs and, step up to the plate and, take a swing.
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, while this win feels good for the G-Men, it was worth it since, they not have the chance at number 1 overall.
I mean, it really wasn't worth it since, Caleb Williams is obviously an elite quarterback, and Daniel Jones probably does not have a future with this team. So
no, I agree. I mean, he had a really rough start this season with the Giants, and it just kept going downhill and downhill even more. I mean, it went from him, screwing up his collarbone, then tearing his Achilles. Like, it was just not a good ride for him. And now he's sitting the entire season. He's on the same side as Aaron Rodgers, sitting on the bench watching the games.
That'll do it for this week's Giants coverage.
Don't go anywhere, Jesse. We'll be breaking down the Jets game.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Left Bench Sports, and today we're back to the normal rant on the Jets and their useless, miserable quarterback. So let's dive right into it. The Jets O-line was like Swiss cheese. Zach Wilson sucked and they lost 32-6. Now, the O-line as a whole just forgot how to block entirely with 10 tackles in the backfield. Not something I didn't expect, but we won't really spend much time talking about them because we have to talk about everybody's favorite high school freshman team QB. Wilson played like Wilson usually does, not worth a bucket of warm spit. He left the game at some point because Robert Saleh got sick of being humiliated by a team that lost to the Broncos. Now, Wilson couldn't throw a football. He went 7 for 15 with a measly 81 yards to show for it, which is embarrassing for the Jets. And, I guess now it's really back to like square one. They just have to hope and pray that Aaron Rodgers can come back by week 14 because now the Jets just released that Wilson is done, and now Tim Boyle will be taking over against Miami next week. And so the Jets continue to spiral out of control, and that's all I have to say about that. Now, on the other hand, let's talk about Josh Allen and the Bills. I didn't know how to feel about Allen, but Leonard Floyd and Tyrell Dodson really had a good game against the Jets. Bills defense only let up 6 the whole game, so there really isn't much to say about them. Allen, I guess he did pretty well. I mean, he had 20 completions, 275 yards with 3 touchdowns, but the only thing with him is really the interceptions. The interceptions are really what get him. And, I get throwing a pick here and there against a good team, but to the Jets, I mean, I guess it really didn't matter, though, because the Jets couldn't capitalize on it, and that's that. But, that's what Allen's known for doing, and he needs to cut down on it because, I mean, when they get back into bigger games, like against Philadelphia and possibly Pittsburgh, since they just fired Matt Canada, he needs to clean up his act on the field with the picks. Anyways, that's all I have for you today, but don't go anywhere. Jake and Smitty are up next with their weekly discussion on college football.
Welcome back to college football on Left Bench. Another week of games has gone by, along with more movement in the CFP rankings. Starting off, we had Michigan versus Maryland. There was some time where Maryland seemed like they could come back and win this one, but Michigan did end up taking it 31-24.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy, he didn't have a good week again. He only had 141 passing yards and 1 interception. But also Blake Corum had a TD run, and then Derek Moore had a fumble for a TD return. Right after Michigan forced Maryland into a safety, Story of the defense was definitely good.
Yeah, the story of the game definitely was the defense. Not a lot of action on offense. J.J. McCarthy not doing too much, but their defense is stepping up. They could win games.
Yep.
Blake Corum has been a beast lately. Another touchdown he had in the second quarter made it 23-3, and I think here, everyone thought it would Michigan would blow them out and just break away, but Maryland was actually able to keep it close. Billy Edwards was able to get 2 touchdowns by some good drives led by Talia Tagovailoa. So it was only a 1-score game, but with Michigan's defense stepping up in big time, they had another safety, and at that point it was 31-24, and they were able to close it out.
And that's crazy, having two safeties in one game by a college football team. That's wild.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot with Michigan too.
Their defense is just so good, like that they can force safeties like that.
Mm-hmm. It'll also be interesting to see how they play against Ohio State next week.
Yeah, big game next week against Ohio State. They if they win, they'll move into second place, right? In the CFP rankings, probably.
They should, yeah.
So it'll be a good week of games next week.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to talk about the Louisville U-Miami game. This was a good game back and forth. The whole game.
Yeah, both QBs performed pretty well. They both had over 300 passing yards. It was back and forth at half. It was 21-20, and touchdowns from both teams. Jack Plummer was doing pretty good for Louisville. They were able to close this one out, 38-31. Jack Plummer threw a touchdown to end the game off, but Louisville's still ranked 9th after this one. Do you think they can maybe implement themselves into the playoff picture or what?
I think they'll actually do pretty good in the playoffs. They started off bad this season, but they made their way through, and they're becoming one of the best teams in the country.
Well, playoff is only 4 teams, so
yes, but
will be tough.
I think they could maybe make their mark in the playoffs if they keep playing the way they're playing.
They would have to win out and win some pretty big games, and a lot of teams would have to lose out.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and then we have Washington. And I think Oregon's definitely on the brim of the playoff picture. And maybe Alabama if they are able to beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Last game we'll be covering is Washington versus Oregon State. Both teams played pretty good on defense, under 200 passing yards for both QBs. Penix didn't perform as well as he usually did. Only 13 for 28 passing, 164 yards.
That's still it's not as good as he played in the past games in the earlier weeks, but that's still a good game as a QB still.
Yeah, all right game. Wasn't able to get a lot done. Second half.
Oregon State's defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they had a 22 to 10 lead at halftime, and after that they weren't able to score the whole rest of the game. So
yeah, Oregon's defense just shut them down.
Yeah, Oregon State's offense did have a chance to take this game away because their defense stepped up big time, but Washington's defense did only allow 10 points, and this game ended up with Washington only winning by 2.
Yeah.
And Washington does look like they're in the playoff picture right now. Florida State, they should be out. Jordan Travis is out. Definitely tough to see.
That's a big loss for Florida State.
Yeah.
They're QB1 out. That's probably their best player.
Yeah, but with rivalry week coming up, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's all we have here on Left Bench. Up next, we have Luke and Myles talking about fantasy football.
Welcome to Left Bench Sports. Today we'll be giving out our mid-season fantasy football awards.
And for the first award, we will be doing surprising player. And I have DeAndre Swift. I mean, going into the year, we didn't even know who was going to lead that Eagles backfield. And I kind of just thought they were getting him because he went to Georgia like everyone else on their team. But they had Gainwell, who was supposed to be the starter, and they signed Penny from the Seahawks. And then they traded for Swift late. And we didn't really know who was going to be starting for them, if any of them had much fantasy value. He was a 9th or 10th round pick. He went late in drafts, and he had double-digit points in 7 of his 9 games. He has over 600 yards this year. And so far, he's having a really good year as their lead back.
Yeah, I mean, we knew Swift was talented. I mean, he was an early pick with the Lions. But it really could have been a fantasy manager's worst nightmare. I mean, having 3 guys, you really only want to start the starter for their team. And you could have easily told me at the beginning of the season that Penny was going to be the starter. He barely plays anymore. Kenneth Gainwell, I thought he was going to be the starter because he was really, getting good last season. He was involved in the passing game. But we knew Swift was talented. It took him a week. I remember the first week everyone was like, oh, Kenneth Gainwell, he's going to get all the touches, all the receiving work. But no, it's been Swift, and he's had a really productive season. He's obviously one of the best pass-catching running backs. So Jalen Hurts, he doesn't normally target running backs, but he did target Swift this season.
Yeah. Another thing you have to think about is the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. He likes to run a lot too, so that could have hurt Swift in fantasy, but it hasn't. Swift has been great so far, and it's leading to a lot of points.
Yeah, the Eagles, they don't really struggle in short yardage situations, as we know. That's really not a problem for them, but the touchdown upside could have been a problem, but as we saw, it wasn't. But for me, my most disappointing player was unfortunately Calvin Ridley. I drafted him in the second round this year. That was a huge mistake. But the worst part was really, Luke, that he dropped 24 points in week 1. Everyone was thinking, oh, he's going to have a great year. He's Trevor Lawrence's favorite target. But then he's flat out been terrible. I mean, he's been so inconsistent. He got like 5 points in 2 straight weeks. I don't think he even had catch in one game. He's just not really involved in the offense. But I don't really think it's his fault either. They're a good team. They're a good offense. Trevor Lawrence just likes to spread the ball around. Evan Ingram gets catches. Christian Kirk, he has his weeks. Zay Jones, he gets some deep threat catches. And they have a good run game with Travis Etienne. So it's not really his fault. I think he's a good player. Coming off the suspension, I thought he was going to just regain his form, but I guess not, unfortunately.
Yeah, obviously a really talented player. I mean, he was really good on the Falcons a couple of years ago. Then he didn't play last year because he was suspended. But as you were saying, the Jaguars just have a bunch of guys to throw to, and he hasn't really been able to get the ball. He got a lot of points week 1, and I think he just got like 30 this week, which I don't know how he's the most disappointing player. But between then, he's got like 5 points a game. He has done absolutely nothing between the first week and wherever we are. I think it's like week 11 or week 12 now. He's done nothing. He just gets maybe 1 or 2 catches, 20 yards. He doesn't get any points.
Yeah, it's so frustrating watching him because when he gets the ball, he's always getting it for 20, 25 yards, but he's never getting the ball. They haven't, given him screens and reverses. They haven't really used him in a way that he's effective for fantasy. I mean, it's really unfortunate. But, Luke, who's your fantasy MVP?
My fantasy MVP has to be Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's had a touchdown, and he had a touchdown 17 straight games. That just ended until he got a touchdown again this week. He pretty much gets touchdowns every week. He gets a bunch of catches also, which helps you in fantasy. He gets a bunch of yards every week. I don't know what is wrong, like what you could do wrong with him. He's averaging 25 points a game, and he's just consistent. It's just he never really gets the big 40-point game like Tyreek Hill does, but he also doesn't have an off game where he gets like 5 or 10. It's pretty much 25 every single week with him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that he reminds me of is like 2017, the Le'Veon Bell season. I mean, he was just getting everything in the offense. It doesn't matter. Antonio Brown, he had a great finish. Ben Roethlisberger, he had a great fantasy finish that year, but it didn't matter. Le'Veon Bell, he just caught everything out of the backfield like McCaffrey does. He runs a ton at the goal line. They don't really have a running quarterback. I mean, they have a receiver who might as well play running back in Deebo Samuel, but McCaffrey, he's amazing. Finds the end zone every week. 17 weeks, that was just broken, but he's so great. I mean, there's nothing really else to say about him other than he's just so consistent. The one thing we've been worried about him for the past couple of years is his health, and he hasn't missed a game this season. So, I mean, there's really nothing to be mad about if you're a fantasy manager of him. Well, my fantasy MVP is A.J. Brown, and the reason I picked him over Tyreek Hill was because Hill was going at, like, pick 4, whereas sometimes in drafts you could get A.J. Brown in the second round, and if you can get the number 2 receiver overall in the second round, I think that's great value. He's on pace to break the receiving record. He's just been amazing. Going into the season, I didn't think he was going to have that great of a year. I mean, he was consistent last year, but with the Eagles, I thought they were just going to run the ball like they were going to become a power running team. I thought DeAndre Swift was going to have a good season, which he did, but he's great value, and I think he's really great.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have a high-powered offense. Everyone on their team could get points. You see Devontae Smith gets points some week. A.J. Brown gets points for inch every week. Jalen Hurts gets points every week. Swift can get points every week. Dallas Goedert just got hurt, but he was getting some good points before that. They have a bunch of people, and everyone's just getting a bunch of points for them. So they have one of the top offenses in the NFL, and they're really hard to stop.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had coming into the year was Devontae Smith going to eat up all the receptions for A.J. Brown? Clearly not, but he's just been amazing, and I think he is, if you're talking about best value in the entire draft, I think it's A.J. Brown.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, McCaffrey was top 5 pick in every league. Tyreek Hill was pretty close, too. He was a first-round pick. A.J. Brown was like a second-round pick, so you could see the best value for him.
Yeah, I mean, you could also say Puka Nacua in the early
Yeah.
season, but I think, expected value and expected draft position, I think it's A.J. Brown.
Yep.
All right, well, that's all we have for you for Left Bench Sports this week. We hope you have a happy Thanksgiving watching football.